Good morning. I'm so hopeful right now. I have a lot of hope. And you should have hope as well. Yes, it is confusing right now. The world scene is just absolutely a mess. But, well, there's no buts about it. I think the most important thing on my mind is the fact that Marco Rubio has been given more power than any other man has ever had in the United States of America in our history, in our entire history. He started off wearing two hats. And the Secretary of State, for some reason, I remember it being more important than the president. And I do not know exactly why. I don't remember why right now. But the fact is that Marco Rubio had two hats. He now has three hats. No man has ever had the same power as Secretary of State except for Henry Kissinger. And Henry Kissinger basically fired Richard Nixon. Yeah, good girl. Yeah. Oh, okay. And recently, Mr. Rubio was given a third hat. Not just the two that Henry Kissinger had, that Henry Kissinger wore, but a third hat. He's been given too much power. We're worried about that. And we think that as a result of that, we are afraid that President Trump might be in danger. Because if President Trump goes down, this country's going to go up in flames like you've never seen before. And we will effectively destroy each other. Now, I do read quite a bit, and I do my best to research things. And I just was watching a little bit of the video here from Trump aims at an orderly collapse of the dollar without getting assassinated with Alex Craner on the peacemonger. Now, I'm kind of a peacemonger myself, and I have a letter in the hopper which I think is going to contribute to world peace. And please don't get me wrong, it's not a hollow cry. It's not a light thing either. But I think that it's time for my idea. It's time. That's all there is to it. Alaska is the peacemaker. Alaska will be the peacemaker. And climate's changing rather rapidly, and they're hiding that from us with their damn geoengineering. Things are happening quickly on the surface of the planet. And don't ask me if it's flat or if it's a globe, because I don't give a rat's ass right now. It could be both. I know you people don't understand me, but it could be both. So I'm looking at the whole situation, and I keep picking up on more pieces, more information. And I got some problems with what's going on. The idea that a fellow who's going to be going, to a peaceful protest can't be armed to be able to defend himself, that bothers me immensely. And they focused on this guy carrying a gun. I heard he had a spare magazine. Now I'm hearing two spare magazines. I heard he fired it. He brandished it and fired it at officers. Now I'm hearing an officer grab the damn gun out of his belt. And while the officer disarmed him, the officer disarmed the ICU nurse's gun. And there's more information popping up about that cat. I'm not going to try to keep up with it. But what I want you to understand is that we're going to be going through some slow changes, and if we try to speed it up too much, there's going to be a problem. And so there is going to be some military incursions in our own country here by our own people. I don't see any way around it. The locations have already been told us, and those people are expecting it. But I can't, for my life, understand why we're not getting the full implementation of the Sedition Act, because that's what I'm seeing is sedition. I don't agree with a lot of the presidents of the past and what they did. They did the best they could do at the time. I know that. And we've had some pretty amazing guys in office. But we've also had amazing guys in office that never belonged there. We got off track. We got off course. The War of 1812 changed everything. As a direct result of the War of 1812, the British have had their grip, their talons on us ever since then. Ever since then. And how do we get justice with the British courts, the system that's been foisted off on us? And they're all courts of bankruptcy, courts of, I don't know how to describe it. They're not common law courts. We do need to establish those. We need to establish good, strong communities, and we do that by speaking to one another, by getting along with one another, by discussing the needs of our local people and satisfying those needs. So we in America have to return to cottage industries. And so what that means is you want to have a small outfit, if you will, a small enterprise. And you want to do good work, the best work. You want to be the best at whatever it is that you're doing. And there might be other people that are doing stuff just along the lines that you're doing. Well, in that case, I'd like to see you form professional associations that are separate from the government, the purpose of which is to shore up your businesses. So if one person gets in trouble with, let's say, their bees in one part of the country, another part of the country can say, hey, we got bees, we'll get them over to you. Don't worry, we'll get them over to you. It'll take them a while to acclimate to your area. If that doesn't work, we'll send you some more. But we have to have that kind of small enterprise out there. And I got some things in the hopper on that. I don't want to talk about it right now, but I've got some amazing ideas that, I don't know, I've had a lot of good ideas that haven't panned out in my life. It's about time that I got to cash in on something, at least my 2 cents. I think we have to humble ourselves and be prepared to be happy with what we have. I know I look at all this wonderful stuff that's advertised, and you only have payments, and it's like, no, man, no, we're not going there. We're not going to be supporting this banking stuff where they get to live off of us so magnificently. So we do have to become Amish in many ways. We have to do local. We have to take ourselves outside of the system for survival purposes. And the Amish have been caving in left and right on this stuff too. It's not good. But those people just, well, they're more innocent than we are in general. They speak German, and they refer to us as the English. Because we speak English, they speak German. But we've had incredible religious institutions in this country. And some of them have not always been on the up and up. And there are problems because these people think they can do better than God's law. And I can't. There's a price to be paid on everything. So for the first 10 years of our nation's existence, adultery was a capital offense. If you had a capital offense for adultery, that shit would stop quite a bit, or you'd at least get rid of the adulterers. And all of our laws came from the Bible. And for 10 years, that was our law. And then there was a little group in the state of Pennsylvania, which has the highest tolls in probably the world, at least in our country. And these people decided they could do better than God. So they decided instead of having capital punishment for adultery, because I guess they were doing it, they decided that they would be benevolent, and they would back it off, and they would say, okay, now it's punishable by 10 years in the stocks, in the city square, bound up so people could walk by and see you, and you're exposed to the elements. and you're an embarrassment. Embarrassment to yourself and embarrassment to others. So that's when our laws first started changing. And I believe that was because of the Quakers. I'm going to put it on them anyway. I could be wrong. I don't know if it was the Amish. I think it was the Quakers, though. A whole lot of shaking going on, baby. What can I say? So these religious orders that we've had have been kind of brainwashing institutions. They are one of the three major controls that come out of the mouths of the Trinity of evil, I call it. And please don't repeat me too much on that, because I don't want that coming out, because it just kind of conflicts with the Trinity, the Holy Trinity as well, which is not in the Bible. That's another concept that we've created out of it. But if you look in there, you'll see that there's three critters, if you will. In Revelations, I got the Bible in front of me. I got junk on top of it right now. Okay, fine. We'll go to it. Because I can't remember Jack right now. Had a good night's sleep. I don't feel like I'm safe to drive right now, so I ain't gonna drive. Roads are still chopped up. The parking lot's like hell out there. It's so icy. Walking the dog is dangerous. I only got a scrape on my elbow, and I only fell twice the other day. The first time to my hands, the second time when I went down on my knees and elbows. And I know how to walk on ice. You know, I'm from Alaska. We know how to manage ourselves, and we also know that if you got black ice, which is what they're talking about here, you just don't go out because you can't see that stuff. And man, I'll never forget the first time I was on black ice and just skidded across the bridge. We went off the doggone road through the ditch, and we come back up on it. It's amazing we didn't roll over. It was quite a drop. And so here I am looking for, it's after Revelations 13. And I know that you're being patient with me, and I really appreciate that, because I'm going to move it. Okay. Revelation chapter 16, verse 13. And I saw three unclean spirits, like frogs, come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. And so I pulled this from Pastor James Wigstrom. And I don't know where he got it from, but he said basically these three things are government, education, and religion. So these are the three great control systems that have been used for quite a while on the planet. And right now people are divided, and they don't seem to understand that each group of peoples has a piece to the puzzle. And I know it's like trying to rebuild the Tower of Babel, because that's when we got divided up and had different languages and different ideas, and we were no longer working as one. Yahweh came down with the other Elohim and scattered us and did all that. But we've got these three unclean spirits, and I think in the frogs, I think some books it's toads. Some versions of the Bible. Of course, I'm using the latest and greatest, the proper name version of the King James Bible, which I think you can read right there. Maybe there you read it better. And I like this Bible quite a bit. It ain't perfect, but then again, we men who are trying to produce this stuff and keep it accurate, well, we make mistakes. And I know, yeah, you people out there who say it's the King James Bible, that's the only one that's any good. And this is like, hey baby, this is the proper name version of the King James Bible. Yes, it's copyrighted, and I've heard from jackasses, pastors out there, that you don't want a copyrighted Bible. Well, the reason this is copyrighted is because the copyrights are good for around the globe. flat earth, whichever you partake of on that stuff, that mess. So this is the best English version. It's available in in Mindanao. The Filipinos wanted this Bible so badly. It's available in some other languages, and it's also available for free. There's an electronic transmission, but you know, electronics can change on the fly. They can get buried, and of course electronics can go down, and I just like to have paper. I've had this particular copy for about 5 years, and last year I broke the binding on it. The publisher said, hey, the printer's not going to be very happy about that. I said, hey, you tell the printer that I usually break the bindings on my Bibles within a year. I read them that much, and this one's lasted far longer than the others have. So it's well made. This is the large print copy. I've suggested an update on that and an update on services, and that is that I shouldn't announce this because I don't know if we're really going to do this, but I want calligraphy available so that you can have the title page when you get your Bible. You can say what you want it to say, and you can have it done in a beautiful handwritten, calligraphy, just a really nice handwriting, so it's presentable, because this is big and should be a family Bible actually. And so we have this title page here, the presentation page, and so the idea is that it'll be presented to, by, and date, and we're going to offer I don't know when, and I'm jumping ahead of the game here because I just talked with the publisher about this. So we're gonna be offering these things, an inscribing service as part of the whole deal, which is gonna cost a little bit because it's gonna be done by hand, and the people that have spent the time learning how to do that, they've labored, and even if it only takes them a couple of seconds to do it very well, you got all those years that they practice to master their craftsmanship. And so I got a couple ideas that'll be going into the big copies. This one is the brown leatherette. It does not have tabs. The black leatherette one, that one has tabs, and it looks more like a formal Bible. And you might want that slight upgrade to your Bible. The advantage of not having tabs is you got to learn what the books are so you can turn to them. Ain't very good at it, especially in the New Testament. I'm not a New Testament guy. I'm an Old Testament guy. And if you don't have the Old Testament, then you will never understand the New Testament. 85% of the Bible is Old Testament. Only 15% of it is New Testament. And yes, we do have the apocryphal books to consider. We have the books that the Ethiopians have preserved to consider. We also have the problem with the sources, because the apocryphal books, most of those came from the Latin Vulgate, meaning the watered down version suitable for the people that were ruling over to have. So when my ship comes in, when I get my boatload of money, one of my projects is going to be it's going to be to fund the proper research and proper development of those extra books. I'd like to see that happen. We have a lot to thank the people out of Ethiopia for preserving their traditions so well. I know a lot of you aren't going to want to hear that blacks have contributed, but I beg you to take a look at the Ethiopians. If you look at the Ethiopians, you will see that their skull shape is a lot like mine. That is from King Solomon's bloodline. They, crossbreeding again. I mean, he and the Queen of Sheba got together. And in case you're wondering, the first convert in the book of Acts, which they get upset with me because I point out it's the first individual that's mentioned in here, far as I can tell. Now, I could be wrong, so you'll have to read Acts and correct me on that if I'm wrong. But if we go to the very end of Acts, we have what I consider one of the most important things in the whole book, and that is this. Okay, where is it? Oh, well, way at the end. I don't want that. It's not at the end of the book of Acts, but it's at the end of the appearance of one of the apostles. He disappears from this act. Good Lord, it's nowhere near the end of the book of Acts. And I got to find this. So bear with me here just a little bit. Boy, all the stuff that Paul went through. Good God. Okay. Jeez, there's so much in here, and I thought it was at the end of the book. Just shows you what I know. Haven't read this in a while, and I need to read it. It looks like I'm not going to find it. Oh well. Nope, I'm not going to find it. I'm not going to. Oh well. What can I say? Basically, this Ethiopian member of the Queen's Court, high ranking, was in his chariot and he was returning from the feast, the holy days, the high holy days. He was returning because apparently his father or his mother was from Israel, and so he was returning there as commanded for the temple feast and sacrifices. And this guy happened to have been, like, I guess he was the exchequer or the money man for the queen. He was a eunuch, and he's reading from the book of Isaiah. And of course, who could afford to own the book of Isaiah back then but a wealthy man of the Queen's Court? And his chariot was kind of on autopilot, so he's standing up in his chariot reading from the book of Isaiah aloud, and the apostle, it wasn't Paul, which one was it? John, I think, heard him talking, and or the Spirit told him, "Hey, go run up close to this chariot." So he ran up close to this chariot. It was just strolling along, nice, leisurely stroll back home after being at the feast days, and the guy's reading from the scriptures. Who knows? Maybe he just bought the thing, you know. And John says, "Hey, do you know what you're reading?" And the eunuch said, "How can I unless someone explains it to me?" And he invited the apostle up into his chariot. "Come on up here with me." And he told him, as it went down the road, he told him the full story of Yeshua, the Messiah. And the eunuch from Ethiopia saw a body of water up ahead. He says, "Look, body of water. What stops me from being baptized?" And St. John says, "Nothing." They went in there and they baptized him. And when they came out, the eunuch was praising. And John, little John, the youngest of the apostles, the loved one, disappeared completely. And he showed back, I believe, in Caesarea, where his daughters were there. I think he had 3 or 4 daughters who were prophesying. And that's where he shows up next. And the eunuch went home just full of joy. You know, who are we to deprive these other people of our Bible? Who are we to say who cannot worship our God? I think we want that. I think we want people understanding the law of life, the 10 Commandments. It's the law of the jungle, basically, but for humans. And I think we need to share that with them because we want them at the same basic value system across the whole planet. So yes, I do think that we are here to establish the kingdom of heaven upon the earth. And I do think that if we are so blessed that it may be our privilege to tighten our belts and to make the sacrifices required. Yeah. we're going to have to make some sacrifices. We're going to have to be satisfied with what we have. We're going to be pulling old cars out of the junkyards probably even and rebuilding those because they're going to be a lot better made, a lot safer than this shit we're stuck with today. You know, most of these GM badge cars are actually made in China, designed in China, and then they're brought through Mexico where they're sanitized, they're sheep dipped, if you will, and they're allowed to come in as if they were made in America. Beautiful cars they make. I'm not kidding. I looked at that one Buick SUV and the fancy paint job on it. Wow. It was a luxurious car. They made good stuff. Should they be able to bring it in here? I'm not for open trade. I haven't been able to read the letter I got back from the president because it's on my tiny ass cell phone. And it's the first letter I got from the man. And I explained to him my preferences and how I would have done tariffs and duties. I would have required them to be paid at the border before coming into the country by the people that want to bring it in. Right now we've got a glorified sales tax on our asses. And I also would want to declare that I'd want every transnational, every corporation to declare the value of the labor for using their services on our phone lines across the internet. And they would be required to declare that in advance and make a deposit into the Treasury of a full 30% before they could do that service over here. And I realize a lot of us are going to be hurting because we're going to have to pay a little bit more for our services. But if you want to be a free people, then you have to be responsible, which means you have to allow the people in your community to have their businesses, which means there does have to be some protections. As I told President Trump, I would have announced the tariffs blanket. Everybody pays the tariff. No most favored nation trading status, no changing your minds, no going back and forth on it, because businesses cannot get the stability they need to plan for success. And without being able to plan, they ain't going to move. They ain't going to do a jack shit. Now, Trump is giving some good tax breaks to bring people back, and I think those make sense. They do. Well, we don't hear about that stuff. Our news media is so wonderful at informing us, and our alternative media is not a hell of a lot better. There's only a few channels and a few men that I really respect out there, and there's some babes too. There's some women that I respect a tremendous amount. I think Sibel Edmonds is one of those. She's an Iranian American. She's really an American heroine. Another one is Catherine Austin Fitts, again an American heroine. I like to call her Lady Catherine Austin Fitts because she is so magnanimous. She has broke so much trail for all of us. And we need to listen to her and follow her advice. And she's told us, ditch the plastic and go to the cash. And I know the cash is going to be losing value. I know that, and we have to accept that. But we have to keep it flowing. It is the current. It's the trade winds. It is the flow that helps us to get things rolling. And I would rather we were back to a honest money, a constitutional currency, and that I think is going to happen. I don't think there's any way around that. I think all these other things are going to be stopgaps until we get there, but that's okay. We have to be willing to take the slow road, what you and I think is the slow road, because those bastards have taken the long march through all of our institutions, and they basically own everything on paper, but they've also stolen it all. And so this series of corporations we call the United States of America has got so much wealth and has so much in way of assets that when they finally are forced to divest themselves of all of this stuff, including their patents and with all the royalties that come in and all of that stuff, and especially the land that they've been withholding from us, especially in Alaska, then I think we'll be able to develop our resources and stay more local. And I think the natives who love their countries and love their lifestyles and the places they're at, I think they can have those. I'd like to see them have those. They're different than we are. Their traditions are completely different. But there's got to be good borders. If you want to be a good neighbor, you've got to have good boundaries. Moving boundary lines was something we weren't allowed to do. Remember? That includes internal boundaries, internal resources, the parts of your spirit that are suffering because of all of this bullshit going on, and, well, the bullshit that we do as well. So we do have to repent in major ways. And we have to sit still to a certain extent because of the teacher, Ray Bunzo, told me, angels are going to be fighting over us. And we're going to have to stand still while they do that. They are going to be fighting over us. And probably already fighting all around us right now in these other dimensions that we don't have readily access to. Some of those are pretty scary, and I don't recommend that you try to go there at all. We're here. We are earthlings. We're called earthlings for a reason, and we can only exist on the earth because we get most of our genome is from Mother Earth, from the bionome. And yes, the earth does groan for her saviors. Her saviors, though, are from Heavenly Father. Yahweh doesn't want us worshiping the Queen of Heaven for good reasons. And you, as you read your Bible, the Bible is going to open itself up to you different than it opens up to me. And you're going to pull things from it that I haven't even imagined. And I'm looking forward to that for you. There's only so much time on this planet. And this planet itself may only have so much time. And there is supposed to be a new heavens and a new earth. And I don't know exactly the form and the shape that's going to take. But it's in there. I have every confidence that this is going to be fulfilled. But don't hold on too rigidly to what you imagine, because I think it's going to be bigger and better than what you and I can imagine. Our president is in harm's way, great risk. We need to understand that. The people are in harm's way. They're in great risk as well. So President Trump is the battleground, his own soul, his own self is being. And you and I are also battlegrounds. And remember what it says, fear not him who can destroy the body, but him who can destroy the soul and the body. And believe me, I've done my homework. I've done a lot of work. I don't share that with you. It's not an easy sort of thing. And I like to keep my private victories private. I know that that when they implement 6G, they will have access to everything from 1971 approximately forward. So they're going to be able to download, upload, whatever you want to call it, us, and know all kinds of bullshit that they probably shouldn't know and won't do them any good, really, and won't do us any good, except they'll be able to fuck with us more. And the sad thing is that I understand it's a bidirectional pipeline. So they can take it out of you and they can put it back into you. And they can screw it up and they can change us. And that's what's coming with 6G. in which you and I probably will be part of the damn wireless system, the World Wide Web, through which they've entrapped all of us here. So yes, I think Doug Vogt was right. We have to learn the secrets of the universe. Secrets of the universe. Remember that. And we have to evolve, which means we have to be able to handle those secrets. We have to hold things very gingerly, softly, and carefully, because we don't want to hurt ourselves, and we certainly don't want to hurt others. At least I hope that's the way it is for you. I'm not very high on the scale of sociopathy. I imagine if you're listening to this channel, you aren't either. But you got to remember that as this culture deteriorates, sociopathy increases. And it's at an extremely high level today. We started out in about approximately 2004, 2006, with approximately 4% of us being sociopaths or sociopathic. And unfortunately, my guess is that we probably passed the 7.5% mark a while ago. Concurrently, the white populations on the planet peaked in approximately 1933 at 30% of the world's population. That's right, 30% of us could be considered white pasty-ass crackers. And white niggers too, okay. But our numbers have been dwindling and we've been cut back. Our native sisters, the wise women, were having the same dream, and they were very disturbed by the dream because in their dreams said our white brothers were no longer there, they were missing. So we white people may end up sacrificing ourselves to save the planet for them, for all I know. I'd rather that than the earth disappear completely. I'd rather that, and I don't think that Yahweh is going to allow it anyway. But what I'm getting at is that it's going to be hard to repopulate the earth with white people because our numbers are so low. We may have to adopt previous practices in the Bible, and I'm open to that. I don't look forward to it because that's going to be one hell of a juggling act. But I think the women, ladies, will be realizing the error of their ways, the error of the ways that have been foisted off upon them through this trickery and deception, which started in the garden. Maybe before that, who knows? And I think they're going to be coming around, and I don't think men are going to be prepared for what they're going to be offering. And my hope and my prayer is that, that as a man out there, that the right woman will find you, the one that's really meant for you, and that you'd marry that woman. Ideally, the woman of your youth, meaning she's much younger than you and fertile and able to give you children, because you're going to want children. We're going to need our children. We've got to stop the slaughter and the sacrifice. We've got to stop all of the skullduggery in which they feed our own children to us. It's a sad thing, and I don't like even talking about it, especially not after having had breakfast, because I don't trust our food supply. You shouldn't either. So I'm trying to give you some hope. I want you to understand that there's going to be some troop movements, and there's going to be movements of people, which is why I've been advocating for well-regulated militia in which people march. They learn how to move in lockstep. I know that sounds horrible, like an invasion, but in this case, they need to be able to move in lockstep so they can move quickly to get out of harm's way and relocate. This is a cheap hotel. I'm a budget-minded fellow, I'm trying to live within my means, and I've exceeded it terribly here, but got screwed over by a few institutions, and I am going to do my best to take a stand for myself and all that stuff and fight it. And I know there are probably, the people that I've called attention to are probably going to be looking at this video and other videos as well. So that's fine, man. It's public. Download this video if you can. All I ask is that you give proper credit and you don't run commercials during it. I mean, if you've got commercials running on your channel, I understand. That's YouTube stuff. They'll probably put a commercial up there that's anti whatever my little segment that you might cite is about. I saw Dr. Michael Savage come back on, and apparently he got a boatload of comments. I still don't like his statement about Zionism. Zion meant something good, and they turned the meaning around on that. So we got that to deal with as well. I do think that we are going to be able to get past all of this. However, there's a lot of different endings available to us in this story. And she's been written to a certain extent, and I get amazed when I see prophecy being fulfilled. I don't know what's next. No, I don't. I just know that I'm kind of stranded, prisoner status, and trying to get my rig working and safe so I can continue to go around the country and on the missions that are going to be opening up before my eyes. So you're going to have your mission to do. You're going to have purpose in this life. Your life is going to have tremendous meaning, and I think that that's worth it. I think that if you lead a good life, that's good. I think the sad thing is that they have destroyed America to the point where we're going to have to eat, as my sister would tell me, we're going to have to eat crow. And I don't like the idea of doing that at all, physically, from any sort of metaphor that you can come up with. But as I taught my inmates who were having impulse control problems and who were getting into trouble, you need to take a step back and you need to ask yourself, what is in my best interest? And if you have to take another step back, do so. But you need to get some space between you and the immediate threat or apparent threat in front of you. And you need to give yourself some time to be able to think. And if that person won't give you time to think, it's best to vacate if you can. It's best not to be confrontative with them. You have to defend your life, so you do have to stand your ground. You need to defend your faith as well, so you have to read the Bible and learn how to stand your ground. Above all, do not be deceived. We're living in an era in which all the deceptions are being exposed so fast that can't handle it all. So we all are suffering from too much information. They're hitting us at all angles with every perspective possible to an attempt to fragment our minds, to destroy the temper, our temperaments, destroy the temper of our steel, of our beings. And so you have to pick your fights very carefully. Yahweh does not bless rebellion. He blesses self-defense. And so at that moment when you need to defend yourself, if you've got the Holy Spirit with you, you'll be all right. But you're the one that has to judge the threat that's in front of you. And you're the one that has to go into that automatic mode to defend yourself, which is quite often going to be a violation of time and space. You can do that. You can do so much more than what you've been led to believe. They've tried to turn every sort of advantage that we had into something against us, so we wouldn't go with it, wouldn't believe it, wouldn't abide by it, wouldn't entertain it. And we have to be careful. Be careful what you put your eyes on. I know I see a lovely woman and I think, man, what a babe. That's not a problem. That's not a problem, except if you go a step further with it and start using your imagination or letting your imagination run wild. And we guys joke about this all the time, but we have to be careful what we open ourselves up to, because the women are going to be crawling out of the woodwork to get to you. Men, you are the prize. Don't kid yourselves. I mean, we can pretend they're whatever and put them on a pedestal, but there's problems with that. It's a dance, baby. It's back and forth. You got to keep the dance going. And me, I lock up. I can't. My tongue gets tied. I can't. I sound like a babbling idiot. When I'm in front of a woman I'm attracted to, it's like I disappear. It's like I can't get a word out. I don't know what to say. I guess I'm bedazzled, bewitched. I guess really what it comes down to is that, I'm just in awe. I'm in awe that, that Yahweh actually made this one for me. You mean I get one? Wow. So I teased my lady and I asked her, so how many wives am I entitled to? She asked me to answer. I said, no. It's in the Bible. Go read the Bible. And I told her a little bit of a white lie. I told her it's in the book of Genesis, but it's not just in Genesis. It's in the Bible throughout. And so you ladies out there need to read that Bible too, because you need to know these things. You, as the bearers of life, as the givers of life, are really precious to the rest of us. That's why we want to protect you. And you need that, because you have this extra capacity that we men don't have. And you can get off your rockers with it. You can drive yourself nuts with it. You drive us nuts, and that's bad enough. But when you drive yourself nuts, it's really bad. I'd like to see each lady out there have her own safe space. I mean, it would be really nice if she had a husband who was taking care of her and watching out for her and making the critical decisions. But she's got to be willing to load. She's got to be willing to load up into that horse cart, that horse trailer. If she's not willing to load, you can't work with her. So you got to test those waters, and you got to talk to them for quite a bit, and you got to hold back. You need to get to know the family as best you can, and make sure they're behind you. And who knows, they may decide, hey, there's really an issue you need to know about, and you might not want to go there because of this. That's why you always seek the blessing of the oldest man, of the father, or the oldest man in the family. And at least then they can ask you questions, and between the two of you, you can talk things through and things you haven't thought about. And who knows, maybe he says, maybe he gives you his blessing. My uncle did that with his last wife, with the oldest son, and his response was, go for it. But the problem was that family laid there and wait to collect everything that he had and deprive me of my inheritance, and deprived the other members of my family of what should have been theirs as well. So much was involved, so much there that I couldn't understand why they couldn't be happy. I mean, my aunt, their mother, Goldie, made it really clear what she wanted to happen with the 15 grand that she had amassed. And she had 3 girls she wanted to give it to. She wanted 5 grand cash to go to each one of them. They never got it, from what I can tell. That's not right. Those people are so impoverished that 5 grand to them would have been an amazing windfall. And that was from the Social Security that Goldie had not been spending. She didn't need it. She just cashed it in and saved the cash up over a bit of time, and she wanted to give it to her loved ones, those that had been supporting her and her husband in the last years there. So I'd like to see that corrected. I will do my best. It's not up to me, but I will do my best. So I would ask you to give a thumbs up. You got something from the video. Subscribe. If you don't like this message, then don't subscribe. There's plenty of other channels out there. I got a few precious subscribers, and I've worked pretty hard to get them, and they come and they go. I know that. And people are easily offended. And God knows that I can offend people really well, too well. But I want you to understand that part of what I'm trying to do is to get some flexibility in your mind. I know, and I'm trying to maintain flexibility in mine as well. So the idea is that you'll be flexible and you'll break out of the prevailing brainwashing. Oh boy, hiccups, great. Just an example, discrimination is illegal. Really? It's just a word. It means to make fine discriminations and judgment. It means to really separate the wheat from the chaff. It means to separate the weeds from the grain. It means to make fine distinctions and judgment for your very survival. We all have common ground. We're all born from women. We all live our lives. We're born alone, pretty much. There's some twins and all that. But then we die alone, pretty much. And at this point, it's a horrible thing. It's not the way to go. And most of our experiences as we go through being babies and becoming toddlers and all that, it's pretty universal. It's really pretty standard out there. Children up to the age of 7 have got a linguistic ability to be totally fluent in several languages. It's like till age 7. So if you've got a multilingual household, make sure to talk all the languages around young children. Lorraine, I know. I'll go to the door in a little bit. Thank you, sweetie. Yeah, good girl. So I think that you've got plenty to chew on here this morning. And, I didn't eat my food in front of you and chew. Did that the other day. I do kind of fly by the seat of my pants. I don't edit my videos. I do watch them because I want to make sure that I haven't said too much and I haven't said too little, and I've gotten my points across, and I haven't drifted off track too much, because there's so much behind these eyes. The consciousness is rather loud and large, and I have to sift through that stuff as I go with you. And I hope and I pray that Yahweh's Spirit, the Holy Spirit, is guiding me in these the time you and I have together here, which I feel is kind of one-on-one. And I hope that I'm a good influence on you. I know that things are easily misunderstood. And I know that I'm speaking in different levels and different layers, and some of it I'm not even aware of. But we all do that. And so it's important that we be as honest as we can in our communications and as respectful as we can be. So I ask you to bless Yahweh, and I ask Yahweh to bless you.